The drama surrounding Amanda Serrano has never been built on hype, noise, or borrowed bravado. It has always been about pressure. Relentless, grinding pressure. The kind that strips opponents down to instinct and asks them, round after round, whether they are willing to stay where they are no longer comfortable. Serrano never chased spectacle for its own sake. She chased consequence. Every punch she threw carried intent, and every round she fought felt like something was being decided beyond the bell. Speed like a sprinter, toughness rooted in old-school discipline, and a mindset that treated mistakes as unacceptable combined to create a fighter who didn't just win fights. She exhausted belief in the people standing across from her, forged between Puerto Rico and Brooklyn. Serrano grew up in a household where boxing was not a distant aspiration or a romanticized dream. It was routine. It was daily life. Her sister Cindy was the first to step into the gym. And when Amanda followed at just 12 years old, there was no trial period and no exit plan. That small gym in Queens, unforgiving and crowded with ambition, became her language. Fewer people, harder work. Less praise, more truth. While others debated whether she belonged in that space, Serrano quietly decided how she would speak to the world. Not with words. With pressure from the beginning, resistance followed her. Family members worried about the toll. Trainers hesitated, unsure whether to encourage or protect her. To test her resolve, she was placed into a real sparring session against someone who had no intention of easing off. It was meant to be discouraging. She walked out shaken, bruised, visibly affected. What defined her was not that moment, but what followed. She came back. That return became the pattern of her career. Setbacks didn't redirect her. They sharpened her. Her amateur career barely reached double digits, ending at 9-1. But the essentials were already carved into her style. Pace, anger, pressure, an instinct not to win rounds, but to fracture confidence. By 2008, small gyms gave way to larger stages, and local wins began to echo beyond neighborhood walls. In 2009, she turned professional without hesitation. There was no waiting period, no careful matchmaking designed to ease her into the spotlight. Serrano stormed into the professional ranks like someone uninterested in learning gently. Her first year was a blur of activity and fearlessness, earning her Rookie of the Year honors, but more importantly, setting the tone. She would not pause for comfort. By 2011, belts entered the picture, and so did clarity. Serrano possessed something training camps cannot install: a finisher's instinct. When openings appeared, she closed them violently and without delay. Her first significant titles confirmed that her style held under pressure, that her pace did not fade when stakes rose. But it was her losses that revealed her depth. A controversial decision against Frida Wahlberg on Swedish soil didn't slow her trajectory. It ignited a pursuit. She began moving through divisions, collecting championships with the same cold efficiency she once used to collect knockouts. Her clashes with opponents like Ella Nunes showed what happened when resistance met resistance. For meetings that blurred together into sustained war. Serrano taking the center, pouring combinations, dragging fights into grinders where neither fighter could breathe without paying for it. These were not bouts designed for comfort or optics. They were tests of will conducted under lights and noise, with no room for retreat. What followed rewrote expectations. One division became 2, to became 4, then 5. Serrano became the first woman in boxing history to win world titles across 5 weight classes. matching the legendary benchmark set by Miguel Cotto for Puerto Rico at that point. Her career stopped sounding like progression and started sounding like a warning. Weight was no longer a limitation. It was something she imposed on others. Instead of settling into dominance, Serrano expanded outward. Mixed martial arts, grappling, jiu-jitsu, while many expected her to choose a single lane and protect what she had built. She chose discomfort. She stepped into cages, onto mats, into unfamiliar rule sets, collecting submissions and medals with the same seriousness she brought to boxing. This was not curiosity, it was philosophy. Risk was currency, and she spent it deliberately. Back in the ring, her featherweight run erased debate. Opponents didn't lose because they lacked heart. They lost because Serrano aged them minute by minute. Pressure accumulated. Distance disappeared. Titles unified. When she demanded structural change, proposing longer rounds equal to men's standards, she did so not for attention, but for principle. When those demands were denied, she vacated belts rather than compromise. Metal mattered less than choice. Her rivalry with Katie Taylor became the defining collision of an era. Two paths that had run parallel for years finally converged under the brightest lights the sport had ever given women. Their first fight at Madison Square Garden wasn't just a contest. It was a referendum. Serrano came forward as if determined to end the argument immediately, pouring on body shots, forcing exchanges, nearly stopping Taylor early. But Taylor survived, answering with movement, timing, and precision. The fight stretched into a war of wills, neither woman yielding ground, both reaching limits they hadn't previously shown. Taylor took the split decision, but the night belonged to the sport. They fought again and again. 3 fights, 3 razor-thin decisions. No knockdowns to settle the question. Just volume versus movement, pressure versus precision, and an audience split between scorecards and eyes. Each bout elevated women's boxing into a space it could never retreat from. Serrano didn't leave those fights diminished. She left them indelible. As the years progressed, her dominance grew quieter, but no less absolute. She dismantled challengers like Heather Hardy and Erica Cruz, unified titles, and became undisputed at featherweight. 12 rounds of 3 minutes tested, a format many doubted. Serrano didn't adapt to it. She enforced it. Over 1,000 punches thrown. No pauses, no discounts for distance. When organizations refused to support equal conditions, she walked away from belts again, reinforcing a career defined not by accumulation, but by standards. By the time she signed a lifetime agreement with Most Valuable Promotions, the arc shifted. Serrano was no longer fighting solely for legacy. She was positioning herself to shape futures, development, opportunity, infrastructure. Influence replaced pursuit. Even as she continued competing, including signing with the Professional Fighters League, her role expanded beyond the ring. 3 losses to the same opponent by decision didn't erase her from greatness conversations. They anchored her there. Serrano never disappeared. She kept showing up, kept pressing forward, kept demanding more from herself and from the sport around her. 7 weight classes, records, awards, recognition. Those facts are settled. What remains is the question that refuses to fade. What comes next for a fighter who never stops answering the bell, even when the verdict doesn't go her way? If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Where does Amanda Serrano rank among the greatest fighters of this era? And does legacy live on scorecards or in presence. If you appreciate deep, story-driven boxing narratives that go beyond highlights, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. Some fighters fade when the lights dim. Serrano shows up again.